And coming to the VPC peering, like peering connection allows you to route a traffic between two VPC systems. So here there are multiple VPCs that VPC system that we have discussed, and like the private VPC for every system will be addressed by the IP addresses only. So EC2 instances either it like either network can communicate directly with each other. So you need to have the IP addresses given for all this VPC system,
Yeah.
and you need to have the connection. There should be a call between these two VP systems from A to B or A to C or B to C. That is how the peering will happen between the VPC system, and the connectivity will sync in directly with the server. Okay, coming to the next one, default VPC deletion. So if you if you delete the default VPC, you have to contact AWS support to get it restored, which is you cannot have the authority to, or provision to replace the VPC which you have deleted. You need to like when you are buying the AWS cloud, right? You'll have AWS support given to the particular business. Let's say if Walmart is buying AWS cloud for their business, and AWS support team would always support the Walmart whenever if there is any support required, and they would be charging based on the kind of request which they need to take it with the end user. Okay. Custom VPC, creating a custom VPC, knowledge check. I have not created virtual private cloud. Do you want me to show the VPC, Patrick?
Yes.
Yeah, let me connect. I'll show the steps. I'll not go and create it because it'll cost something to me.
Okay.
So this is how you can search for any services instead of going to the services tab.
Yeah.
As in when you log in here, you can just go and search for VPC. Sorry, VPC.
Okay.
So it will show up the service, and you can select it here itself. Okay, so this is little vast in doing the APC,
Okay.
VPC. So here you have different VPCs by regions. So I have chosen Singapore as the one. So
Yeah.
I have all this VPC showing for the Singapore locations itself, like subnets, NAT, and all this stuff. And you can even see the gateway informations and the routing tables and all this stuff. Let me go to the VPCs first. So there is a one VPC available here for me, so which is the default one, which is already there, and I'll show you the information, couple of informations here. So it will have the VPC ID, and what is the state of it, and the different IP addresses and everything. And you'll have the CRDI logs or the flow logs. There is no, I have not done anything, so there is no logs available for this particular VPC. So this is where, this is how you identify, like this is an option to desert or main route table for that particular, and this is the IP address for that particular VPC. As we have seen that VPC will always have the IP address, which will talk to the further VPC based on the IPC IP address information. So this is a high level things about VPC. When I click on create VPC, it will show up the details and it will ask for like which region you want me to create the VPC, and like if I need to select some DHP CP options and all, that you can choose it and click on create. You will have the VPC in front of you, but you need to pay for the VPC whatever is not coming as a service. I mean free service for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, coming to the next slide. Okay, we are there at the knowledge checkpoint again. So the question is, what is attached to the default VPC? So I think it's
default. What is
yeah,
attached to? What is attached to default VPC?
yeah.
I know internet gateway takes you into internet. No, is VGC that takes you into VPC. I will put available. I don't know. It might be a availability zone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I
No
cannot put.
problem.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
put
no problem. I'll help you
availability
here.
zone.
No, I'll help you here. No problem. So the
Yeah.
default VPC, to default VPC, every time internet gateway will be attached. Why? Because until unless you have the internet gateway, it's impossible for you to connect to the VPC, right? So internet gateway is the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you. If I saw
Mm.
like GVC gateway, maybe
Mm.
GVC, I would have said it, but
Mm.
internet gateway. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. The next question is, why would you create a custom VPC?
Why will you create a custom VPC to customize it? Well, I will just say I will take A. It might be A or D, but I will go with A.
Yeah, A is the right question, Patrick. So, to customize the VPC to your own configuration, it might be for any purpose, but if you wanted to customize the VPC based on the own configuration that you wanted, you can go for this particular option. So, A is the right answer here, right? So,
Yeah.
IP addresses, using IP addresses in Amazon VPC is the next section. So, we'll talk about what it is there in this. So like we have seen, for every VPC, IP address is compulsory for you to connect to that particular server, and that's how any system in the networking will work, right? So if you have a private network, so if it is a public network, then you'll be able to access the IP address, but the private IPs address are not reachable over the internet. That is one of the best feature of the IP address in the cloud environment. It used for communicating between instances in the same network only. So you have to give the private IP addresses within your VPC. So it will talk about these two by peering from this network to this network server, right? So it works as a private IP addresses for that instance. So publicly, if you have some server in the public, you'll not be in a position to connect to the private, servers, private IP addresses in the VPC. So that is where your systems are very much secured in the VPC environment with the private IP addresses. Okay, and this is coming to the public IP address. So you have the publicly available IP address, even if it is there in the VPC. This is you have the public IP address for this particular system. It would be connecting to those systems. It depends on the way that we wanted to have the environment, the network setup to be done. And the elastic IP address, like it's again the static or the public IP address that allow you to allocated to your account and can be associated to and from for your instances as required. So here again you have the two separate IP addresses, and you will be connecting to the static or the public IP addresses. Depends on whenever the system wanted to connect to those the systems which are there in the peering with the public IP address. Creating an elastic IP address. Demonstrate how to create elastic IP address. Allocate new addresses. You don't have any addresses in this region. Click create a address bottom of your create. So I'll show up the main page, how it will be. So when you click on allocate the new address, so it will take that particular scope of that scope is VPC, that what we are creating now, right? And it will be from the IP4 address pool from the Amazon, right? So you'll be creating on the allocation thing. Then it will take you back to the it will create the new address here and allocate the IP elastic IP here. Okay, the knowledge check again. So when is an elastic IP address released from your account?
When is the what is let's release from your account? Release from your account. Okay, I will go with B.
Okay, okay. So I think we have to go with this option, which is C, until you
What is
choose
it?
to release it. So you have an option to release that particular IP
Oh,
address. So yeah,
oh
you
yeah,
can go
that is
until you
true.
choose to release. Yeah,
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 that is true because you stated that if you launch into it, it might cost you.
true.
So
Yeah,
yes, so it means that until you choose to release it.
right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, C is the right answer. And the next slide which says is subnets, using subnets in Amazon VPC. We'll see how it will be used and what actually it does. So the definition of subnet: a range of IP addresses in your VPC. You can launch AWS resources into subnet that you select, as use a public subnet for resources that you must be connected to your internet, and private subnet for resources that won't be connected to the internet. So okay, so these are the subnets which will not have the peer connectivity between these two, and it will act as a public subnet for any of the connectivity. Let's say in the previous diagram also we have seen that different public subnets you have, but that will be connecting to the main server which is hosted in the VPC. Set diagram here, right? So VPC subnets here within the VPC, as we had discussed in the previous slide, as the subnet diagram will come into the picture with the two availability zones. Every availability zone within your VPC will have a VPC subnet, and it will be like a small data centers. What we know here is, right, it's always mapped into a single availability zone. So which means VPC subnet, it will be mapped only to this availability zone, but this VPC subnet cannot have any information of the another VP availability zone, right? So it is only mapped to only specific availability zone in the VPC environment, which is your virtual private cloud. Okay, and the next topic here is public and private subnets. And here the public subnets are used for resources that need to be connected to the internet. Okay, so the private subnets are resource that doesn't need to internet connector. What? Yeah, so here this is the internet and this is a public subnet, and within your AWS cloud, within your VPC, the internet can have an access to direct public subnet and it can access anything. But whereas you have the private subnet, it will not have direct access to your internet because which is being categorized as a private subnet. So it is going to protect these subnet from the normal internet.